You know that feeling when you open your inbox and find another Google review from a happy client? Well, we feel the same way when our listeners leave a review on Apple Podcasts for our show.
It's honestly so helpful because reviews give you the words straight from your client's mouth that impacts the way you run your business going forward. And the same is true for us.
Yeah, when we read your reviews, it helps us understand what you love and what you want more of, which makes the show better in return. And really, everyone wins here.
So before you listen to today's episode, could you take 1 minute and leave us a 5-star review and tell us one thing you're loving about the show? We promise we'll be here ready to chat when you're done.
And after leaving that review, make sure you screenshot it and send it to support@modernagentsocialclub.com with your mailing address, because we have a fun little surprise for you as a way to say thank you.
XOXO, the marketing girls.
We came across this big package of pre-made Jell-O shots, and the sign above it just said be the hero of the party.
I feel like I'm aging myself because I'm I used to make fun of my mom for doing this, and here I am on Siri.
You're like the mom that brings the fun thing. I'm not like a regular mom. I'm a cool mom. How do I get more leads?
How do I stand out in my market?
Is it unprofessional to talk about my kids on Instagram?
Should I have one account or two?
Do I really need a personal brand as a real estate agent?
We are the Modern Agent Marketing Girls. We are two agents turned marketing experts who believe you can become the go-to real estate girl in your market, all because you are you. I'm Chelsea Peterson, founder and CEO of Modern Agent Social Club.
And I'm Kayla Fox, Modern Agent's content creator. Let us be your guide as we talk about what it means to market your real estate business the modern way.
So refill your favorite beverage, open your notes app, and get ready to build a business and a brand you're obsessed with. Let's go. Hey, Kayla.
Hey, Chelsea. Welcome to another episode of the Modern Agent Marketing Girls podcast. How are you today?
I'm good. I feel like you have that intro down and it sounds like a radio DJ or host or whatever.
You know, I'm feeling a little bit like Amy from the Bobby Bones show, which I am very proud of. However, just a few weeks ago, I said, welcome to Modern Agent Social Club. So I still am a little rusty once in a while. Could always room to fine tune my craft.
I love it. What is new?
I was just talking about this summer and trying to make plans and all of that. And my kids are now getting to the age where they're going to all these different sports camps and Bible school and all of that stuff that it's when do you even have time to do something? But last summer we went to just little camping spot that's literally 45 minutes north of where we live. And our whole family went for the weekend. My parents brought their RV, and then each of us, me and my brother and my sister and our families, we all got cabins there, which was so fun. But Brett and I went shopping at Costco to get some snacks and stuff before we went up there. And as we were walking down the aisle, we came across this big package of pre-made Jell-O shots. And the sign above it just said be the hero of the party. And I, without even thinking, I said, well, I want to be the hero. And I picked up the box and I put it in my cart and we went about. And my whole family was like, who brought the Jell-O shots? We're not a big party family. But it cracked me up. But I told my husband, I'm like, well, it said that's how you can be the hero of the party. And that's what I wanted to be, which is kind of funny because that's basically what we're talking about today.
The hero and the guide of the story brand framework. I love that.
Yes.
I would have also picked up the Jell-O shots. I love being the one that's let's get this party going. I feel like my family is more party because my dad's side, everyone's young. Everyone's in their 20s and it's just, and kind of starting to get into their 30s. I was the oldest cousin. So it's just a different dynamic where they expect me to bring that.
You're like the mom that brings the fun thing. I'm not like a regular mom. I'm a cool mom.
Yes. Well, our whole family, we've gone to Vegas several times for I went for my 21st and the whole family went. Obviously, none of my young cousins, but my aunts, my uncles, my grandma and grandpa. And so now as everyone else has turned 21, they keep doing the trips. And the last time we went, it was my brother and two cousins. They all turned 21 the same year. Now we're making up for a 21st birthday that we didn't go for. So they're let's go in July. And I'm July? It's an oven. I can't even handle Wisconsin heat. I can't go to Vegas in July, but I think I'm going.
Come on, Grandma, let's go.
Yeah.
That's such a fun tradition. I love that.
It is. It's draining.
It's so totally worth it. Well, today we are talking about just that, using words to encourage people to take action, right? And we're talking about it all from the Building Your Story Brand 2.0 book we actually did this for book club for the membership, which was so fun.
It was really fun. So we've done book club twice now, 12-week year and building a story brand. And now it's almost like our marketing plan and the membership is like through that filter. Like, let's plan it in increments and let's also do it through the lens of the story brand framework, which we're going to talk about today. And I'm so excited. You guys are going to love this. Even if you didn't read the book, you're going to go pick it up after you listen because it's just so good. I mean, in this book, there were so many before and after stories of companies Donald Miller worked with that implemented the story brand framework, and you can see the shift in their messaging just from like their clear tagline or their clear message or website copy or whatever, that you're like, yeah, that makes so much sense why their business quadrupled or 10x or whatever, just simply by words, and words are free, which is pretty
totally
freaking cool.
Free. Exactly. Chelsea, before we get started, can we shout out a few of our messages that we've gotten recently from, well, some are members, some are not members, but listeners of this show at least. Okay, this one is from Shannon. First of all, Shannon participated in some of our Modern Agent or the Marketing Therapy Thursdays that we do on our Modern Agent Social Club Instagram account every Thursday in our stories. And she messaged me yesterday and said, "Hi, I just joined. Take all my money, LOL. Cannot wait to get started. I'm trying to be a good student." And she posted a picture of her like starting the trainings and all of her notes. So I was so excited that she joined, and it was so fun to watch her like excitement and just like the mindset shift of like, here are my questions. I know I want to stand out in my market. I'm concerned about these things. And as we were able to address that, she was like, take all my money.
That is the best thing someone can say. And you know what's funny about that is like, that is what the story brand framework helps you do, which we design our content this way. So we're going to help you do it too. And all your money will be like 10x very soon.
Oh, yeah.
I have one from Emma. I don't know if I'm stealing yours, but you're the organizer of the feedback. She said, "Hi, I just want to say thank you for giving me the confidence to be me in my business." Like, that's so amazing. It makes me so happy.
That.
I'm a newbie to the real estate business and was really struggling on how to go about social media, but y'all gave me the confidence to be me. So thank you. Oh my gosh.
I know. That's like exactly what the point of this is, right? We also had a review that I love too. They said, "I absolutely love the Modern Agent Marketing Girls podcast. It's completely binge worthy," which was like #goals. "Each episode is packed with so much information. You catch something new every time you listen. The ideas shared are game changers, giving me the confidence to finally start posting more on social media. This is what I liked. It's like having a personal marketing coach in your ear, making everything feel doable and inspiring." So if you're looking for practical strategies, this is it. That like helps me plan episodes because I'm like, no, I need to be that personal coach in their ear that reminds them of these things.
Or even to know like how to talk, because sometimes it can feel weird on a podcast when we're talking to each other, yet we're ultimately talking to them. And it's like, how do I say that? Or like, am I talking to you or am I saying like, hey, like to the people? But that's a good just reminder of the way I want to share. And that's also like in social media, on Instagram and email marketing and anything you're doing, like speak to the person you want to hear it, not to everyone. Or don't speak like as if you were on a stage and everyone's listening. Speak as if you're like sitting down for coffee with the person next to you. And it makes it feel so much more like authentic if you want that same feel in your marketing content.
100%. I love that so much. So did you have any more?
That brings me to one of my favorite parts of the book.
Yeah?
About coffee.
Oh, let's hear it.
So we all know I'm obsessed with coffee. We had a B-roll photo shoot and I bought like 6 coffee mugs or beverage holders. Glassware, ceramics for this shoot.
Gosh.
I have one right here.
Oh, yes, we've got our matching ones. Cheers.
So I love a coffee shop vibe. I love an aesthetically pleasing coffee shop, all the things. But in the book, they talk about, I'm just going to read this little excerpt, so I'm not going to give you like the context before it, because we'll get into this. But it says, "Starbucks exploded not just by offering customers a cup of coffee, but by giving them a comfortable, sophisticated environment in which to relax and connect. When they walked into a Starbucks, customers felt good about themselves. Americans went from hanging out in diners and bars to lounging in a local Italian-style coffee shop. By solving their customers' internal problems, Starbucks brought an entire industry to America. Thousands of European-style boutique coffee shops have popped up in nearly every small town in America following Starbucks' lead. And the first thing I thought of was Central Perk on Friends is that they hung out at a coffee shop.
Yeah.
Was that after Starbucks started?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I feel like Starbucks has been around since I've been alive, but everyone dogs on them, like, because it's like corporate, but it's like, well, it did like inspire all these other cute coffee shops that we know and love too.
You have to respect the Starbucks brilliance, whether or not you want to support Starbucks.
Exactly.
Hold on 1 second. What year did Starbucks start? I feel like I'm aging myself because I'm like, I used to make fun of my mom for doing this, and here I am on Siri.
I was going to say, is our guest co-host today Siri? Is she helping us today?
March 30th, 1971. I was right, 70s, in Seattle's historic Pike Place Market, which I have been to, and it's so cute.
That's awesome. That's so fun. I love that part of the book too. It's an experience. And I think, especially as like Americans, I feel like we like rush through things and check things off our list. That's like in our DNA, right? But like created a opportunity to slow down and to like almost like romanticize the morning coffee experience. And we can totally do that with our marketing as well.
Well, I also like that, like through marketing, you need to build trust. And to me, like if you bring the experience, like if you meet your clients for coffee, you meet them at a coffee shop, you meet them for a beverage, just sit down, hold their hand, walk them through. To me, it's like painting the picture of like, here's how I build trust. I meet my clients here. This is how I do it. And if we go into like one of the little points of the book, it asks you, can someone answer these questions within 5 seconds of looking at your website or marketing material? 1 is, what do you offer, which is pretty simple. You sell real estate. 2, how will it make my life better? And 3, what do I need to do to buy it? Well, I feel like 1 and 3 are pretty self-explanatory. And I think the one that people struggle with the most is the how will it make my life better? And that kind of takes me to like, why you? Why would someone hire you? Like if, someone has 15 agents in their network, why you? Or if they have 2, why you? And then that comes through your experience. And when we kind of take that onto social media more than the here's how to buy a house style content, we're going to make someone see themselves in the way we're showing up. Like they're going to see themselves sitting down for coffee, getting that first step to the home buying process secured or taken care of or checked off their list, So that's why I thought that was such a cool example of the Starbucks, because you can do that in your social media marketing, even if you're not at the coffee shop, right? You can like bring that to life.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's the first question agents have to be able to answer is like, what do you bring unique to the table? Like, why should someone choose you? And of course, depending on the client, it might look a little bit different. But in doing so, that will help you position yourself as the guide. So this book is really big on basically emphasizing the fact that most marketing campaigns and most companies, whether they're huge brands or small, they make themselves what they call, or what Donald Miller calls, the hero. So they make themselves like the winner of the day who can come in, and because of all of their savviness and knowledge, they're able to like do all of these things. And what happens is, as consumers, we look at that and we might think, wow, they've done a really great job with that. Or like, that's so cool that she sold another house. But we don't see ourselves in that content, and we don't see what it has to do with us. And our brains are always asking, like, how does this help me survive and thrive? Which seems so like dramatic, but like the science is really there to like prove that that is true. Because so many agents and other companies and whatnot are positioning themselves as the hero instead of as the guide, they're missing out on so many opportunities to connect with future clients and customers.
I like that in the book they talk about, the whole concept of if you aren't clear, you're just making noise. And there's a lot of like scenarios in this book, but this is what was so powerful to me. It says, noise has killed more ideas, products, and services than taxes, recessions, lawsuits, climbing interest rates, and even inferior product design. I'm not talking about the noise inside our business. I'm talking about the noise we create as a business. What we often call marketing is really just clutter and confusion sprayed all over our websites, emails, commercials, and social media, and it's costing us millions.
Yes, totally. So there's so many like good one-liners in this book and like things that we've highlighted and stuff. I guess to start off, why should an agent care about this? Like, is this, like, we kind of talked on it a little bit, but like, this feels like business 101, right? So, like, what does it have to do with an agent? Why should they pay attention to this book?
I think it's getting to the root of your brand tells a story is what it is. And when we hear story, and even me, I've been here too, I hear like, oh, you need to tell stories. You need to use more storytelling. I'm like, like, I don't want to write a story on Instagram. Like, that's not what I want to do. Why would that be entertaining to someone? Or we go to like, that means I have to tell the story of how I became an agent or how I did this or a story about a client. Like, that's not the only thing story means. Your brand in and of itself and the way you show up, the words you use and the messaging you're sharing over and over, that is telling a story in and of itself. And that's the story we need to be concerned with as a business owner. And this is like thinking of your business as a true business and treating it like that and using the words you use as something that you're almost like measuring. Like, are these words that I'm using over and over and over, is that message getting through? Is it clear? Is it making sense? Is it resonating? When you were saying about the hero and a lot of content being hero centric, like, look at what I did, look at my listing, look at the house I sold, look at how many I sold, look at these pictures of my listing. You're not giving your own brand a story. You're just saying, look at me, look at me, look at me. And I think what I love so much about this is that it kind of took all the things we always say and it packaged it into like here's why that is, like here's why. Like, it's so easy to see when you say the hero in the guide that the hero saying, look at me, isn't the one that's going to be converting a bunch of clients on social media because people are just ignoring it. I forgot where in the book this was, and I want to like almost pause and find it right now. But they talked about how when someone's a hero, it's like we like instantly just ignore it almost because we can't
like, we can't picture ourselves being that. Like, that's not our story.
Like, there's not enough room for me to think about you being the hero because this is what it is. I don't have like time or capacity in my brain and brain calories left to think about you being the hero or to care. I'm worried about making myself the hero. I'm worried about getting that house that I really want that's a better fit or in the right school district. Or I'm worrying about, to put it in a different example, I'm worried about losing the weight. I don't care about you losing the weight. Like, someone tell me how to do this. Someone help me take the right steps to building wealth through real estate or whatever. Like, I don't care about you doing it. So I think that's like the thing that makes it really easy to understand for me is when we're leading with the hero storyline, we're missing out on all the people we could help become the hero in their own story.
Yeah, 100%. So just to kind of go back just a little bit, if anyone's listening and they're kind of confused, this is basically the story brand framework because Donald Miller just talked about how he like studied story for so long and throughout like old writings, throughout movies, throughout literature, all of these things, you commonly see this as like a defined story. So it says it's a character who wants something and they encounter a problem before they can get it. At the peak of their despair, a guide steps into their lives and gives them a plan and calls them to action. That action helps them both avoid failure and experience success. So knowing that, I think it's easy for us to define that the character for real estate agents is their client, right? It's the client in their local community. And again, they all look a little bit different, right? But deep down, they all have the same problem. They all need a place to live. They all want to feel like they got a good deal on a home. They want to feel like they got a lot of money out of their home sale, those kind of things. So the problem that they're experiencing can be anything from they need to buy a house, but the mortgage rates are high, or the prices are high in general, or they're afraid that they maybe can't afford what they want, and so they just wait because they're afraid they're going to be disappointed or whatever. And then it talks about like the guide steps in. So that's you, the agent, stepping in and giving them a plan and call to action, which we can go into more later. But like that's the general like overview of the book. And so as we're like explaining everything throughout this episode, that's kind of what we're falling back on.
And what we ultimately want to do with this, because maybe you're like, okay, I get it, but I don't really have time for this or whatever. It's going to help you run your content that you decide to post on social media through a sort of filter to think like, does this help position me as the guide? Or is this just making more noise and costing me clients because I'm putting out content that isn't going to help move the needle forward? So that's like really at the core of what we're going to get into is how do we make our messaging speak to our people and not just create noise? How do we make our post, or what about that reel trend? Like, is that worth doing, or is that just noise? Like, we want you to get really focused and clear so that your Instagram, if someone gets there and they land on a piece of content and they start scrolling through your feed and they start scrolling through your reels or tapping through your story, it tells this very cohesive story. It feels like whether they watch 10 reels or 30 of your reels or whatever it might be, that it is all part of like the same bigger picture. Like it all makes sense. It all goes together. It's not like a random picture of a vacation in Puerto Rico and then I'm trying to think of like bad examples. I don't know.
I know. My kid's soccer game.
Yeah, my kid's soccer
And,
game.
yeah.
The outfits that I bought. I don't know. It's like, how do we tie it all together and make it make sense?
Yeah. And this is interesting because so many times on our podcast, and we believe this to be true, we talk about sharing content from your point of view as the agent. So as a listener who's probably thinking, wait a minute, I thought I was supposed to be sharing about myself. I thought I was supposed to be sharing all of the things, like my point of view and my favorite things to do in town or my favorite whatever. Now you're telling me that I can't make myself the hero, but I'm supposed to be the guide. Like, what's the differentiator there? Like, how do we like help them gain clarity around that?
I think I would first and foremost recommend listening to episode 16 of the podcast, which we break down the Modern Agent content cocktail. And it is very in alignment with this whole story brand, don't make yourself the hero, be the guide idea, mentality. But what that's going to do is it's going to help you, like, yes, you could post about your vacation, but then you're going to pair it with the fact that here's the vacation I love taking every year with my family as a city name realtor. You're like making it make sense. Even that like makes me now question, like, does that make sense in the story brand framework?
Yes. And okay, that's just it. So like, I think the story brand framework really pulls people in and lets them see their place in your content, right? They want to see themselves in your feed. If you're posting about, being a mom, or for myself, like if you're also a football wife or whatever, like I'm going to naturally gravitate towards you because I've got things in common with you. So I think when you share like your vacation, you are sharing things like, hey, this is what we like to do for fun or whatever, which I think there's a place for that for sure. But I would also pull that in, especially if you truly do want your social media to position you as the real estate go-to girl. You can be the go-to girl for multiple things, like where did you get that outfit, or what did you order from this restaurant, or where did you go on vacation, all of those things, but also still position yourself as a real estate agent. So
first and foremost, you're first and foremost the agent. And I have in my notes the answer I'm looking for. So 2 characteristics of a guide are empathy and competency. And empathy, I have to read this excerpt and then I promise I'm done reading. But this is answering this question, basically. And empathy is more than just sentimental slogans. Real empathy means letting customers know we care about them in the same way we care about ourselves. Customers look for brands they have something in common with. Period. Yes. Customers look for brands they have something in common with. This is where the personal pieces start to make sense with your branding if we're talking about this book. Remember, the human brain likes to conserve calories, so when a customer realizes they have a lot in common with a brand, they fill in all their cognitive dissonance with trust. Essentially, when we highlight the aspects of ourselves or our brands that we have in common with our customer, the customer batches their thinking, meaning they think in chunks rather than details. Here's what I mean by thinking in chunks. Last night, my wife and I attended a dinner party and sat next to a couple we'd not met before. As we started talking, I noticed how instinctively human beings search for commonality. When my wife discovered the couple had grown up in Louisiana, there was an instant connection as she herself hails from the North Shore of Lake P. As humans get to know each other, they search for shared places and people and experiences, thus increasing the feeling there's a mutual understanding of life and giving us the feeling that the person we are talking to is safe. And that is why finding and expressing commonality, whether taste in music or shared values or shared stages of life, and talking about those commonalities is such a powerful marketing tool. if you meet someone, and this is the example I always give, like if you're at a cocktail party and you meet someone and you have something in common with them, you instantly feel like that click. Like, okay, I can talk to her for a while, or him, or like we have more to talk about. So it's like the commonality pulls the people in. And yes, that could mean a little bit of repelling, but you're going to attract so much more strongly and develop that trust on the front end so much faster when you do share the little pieces of who you are beyond the agent. Because that's like, they can't really relate to you as being an agent, right? Like maybe they need one, or maybe they're going to someday, but that's not the relation. That's not the
Right.
relatability. The commonality is going to be found in the fact that both of your kids play soccer, or you both have 3-year-olds, or you both love vacationing across the country and not in Florida, or that you love Florida better. Like that's where the commonality comes in. And that's why that part is so powerful.
You know what all of this reminds me of is the old SNL skit with Will Ferrell and I think it was Molly Shannon. And they were on like this first date and he keeps saying like, so tell me about your family. And then she would say like, I'm just not really comfortable talking about that right now. And like everything that he would say, she'd just be like, I'm just not really comfortable about that. And by the end of it, they were like, what else can I think to ask you? Like they've had nothing in common because nothing was shared. So they just sat there in this awkward silence. And that's basically what happens when we don't find those like points of commonality in real life or online. So I agree. So I think it has to be a mix of sharing our perspective, but also as you're sharing your perspective, you're not sharing it like, look what all of my commissions in real estate let me earn. Like, look at this like trip I earned for whatever. Like you're sharing like my family and I love doing this. Here are our favorite spots here if you ever go. Like that's still valuable content for your people.
Do you ever get to the end of a podcast episode and feel like, ugh, now I have to wait until next Tuesday for more?
Are you asking me or our listeners?
I mean, I was asking our listeners, but now I'm curious. Do you feel that way too?
Honestly, I might. I mean, if it weren't for Modern Agent Social Club, because members get to be in the middle of marketing conversations like this every single day.
That's true. For our members, it's basically Marketing Girl Summer.
Exactly. Like, sun's out, strategy's out.
So if you love the podcast, maybe you've already started trying a few things and you're seeing results, but just imagine how much more momentum you could build inside the club.
Because the podcast is where we talk strategy, but inside Modern Agent Social Club, like, of course, you're going to get great content, as I do say so myself. But more than that, you're going to get a results-driven marketing plan.
Carousels and reel prompts and emails, it's all great. But how do they all work together to make you the real estate go-to girl? That's why we provide you with an entire marketing system so you don't have to figure out how all these pieces connect.
So if you're tired of waiting a whole week between episodes and you're tired of DIYing your real estate marketing, make this your most fun and productive summer yet.
And join us today at modernagentsocialclub.com for your first official Marketing Girl Summer. Now back to the show. Here's like a super silly example, but yesterday I like posted my outfit in my stories. I had a live call with Tori Sprankle, our brand designer friend, and I like kind of dressed like in a Tori vibe and I put it on my stories and I had people say like, oh my God, I love your outfit. Where did you get it? Blah, 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 which no one ever asked me this because I'm always wearing a sweatshirt and leggings. But it was like my one moment. It doesn't mean I'm going to make my whole brand about clothing now or that I'm going to become a fashion influencer, but it was just this like simple point of connection. Another one was this Stanley that I got in our little on-brand pink stripes. And I had a bunch of people say like, oh my God, I love your Stanley. And it's like, you're bringing to life these little teeny moments, these micro moments that can create that connection and can relate to someone else or what they like or love or would want to know more about. And it's having those conversations that build your personal brand. That's ultimately what it's doing. Because while this book is, yes, it's about clear messaging, when you take that into social media, you're getting a little bit more granular because you're sharing more than just like a sales message or the header of your website. Like we're getting deeper. It's social media. So like how can we bring that to life over there while still having that thing that makes someone feel like we can have a conversation? Like this isn't just about her real estate business. It's not her billboard. It's a party she's inviting me into.
Yeah, exactly. And they talk about in the book like how we should have repeatable sound bites that we are consistently repeating over and over again, which is funny because as we create content for our members, there are times, I mean, how many times have I messaged you and been like, am I being too repetitive? But it's like, no, like being repetitive is so good because that's what like positions you as that real estate go-to girl. So one of the messages that we're always repeating is that we're always available for mini consults, and we host this many a month and all of those things. We teach our members like how to word those things so that it makes sense for you and your schedule and all of that. But you're constantly opening the door to let someone else in. What if we only posted about that one time, and maybe we even pinned it to like the top of our profile, so like it was easy for people to find, but we like never talked about it again? No one would know what a mini consult was, but the fact that we purposely talk about it month after month and post after post, and even if the post is not about mini consults, even if it's about, like the current market, or if it's about, a local builder or whatever, at the end of it, it always comes back to like, I'm hosting a mini consult. Like, I'd love for you to join me, because we have to like get that message in people's heads, because there's so much else noise that they're hearing. Like, they're going to need to hear that. I think the book said 80 times before they're actually like prompted to take action on that. So if you've posted for a month and you're not seeing results, you got a little ways to go, but like you're playing the long game here, and it's going to be worth it because you're going to see like long-term results when you do that.
I think it can be tough because we put so much time into one post, right? Like, okay, that post maybe took 45 minutes to create, to write it all, to put all that there. And then we were like, hit publish. And in our brain, it's like, everyone's going to see this. It had to be perfect. Every word had to be perfect. And we're like, well, I'm not going to talk about that again. But that's like the biggest mistake you could be making, because if we expect everyone to see that one post and we are banking our conversions on people seeing that one post, we are going to be really, really disappointed. But when we can repeat the messages effectively, or when we can repeat the messages consistently, that's where it's going to become effective, because that's where that person who's been following you is going to see it. And it's not like every post says the same thing. It's that it's woven throughout. So
right.
For us, we say real estate go-to girl a lot. We're not creating post after post that says 5 ways to become the real estate go-to girl. Here's how to become the real estate go-to girl. Here's 5 content ideas to become, like, no, we're weaving it in almost subliminally, where you're going to see it somewhere in there. You're going to see it in our bio. You're going to see it in our website, but you're not looking at the post hook as if that were what was pulling you in. And that's the same thing we're doing when we're creating our members content, is we're using hooks that are going to get your ideal followers' attention. And then you're going to weave in those repetitive messages that help people know like how to take the next step with you. What would it look like to work with you? How does a mini consult work? Why would I schedule one? Who is this for? Like, you're answering that through these different positions of content, different angles of content. And maybe we could even pull some up and give examples.
Yeah.
But there is a quote in the book that says, once we begin filtering our message through the story brand framework, we'll be able to repeat powerful messages over and over that brand us into our customers' lives. So if you think about, for example, our content at Modern Agent, and you have down that message you want to repeat, we craft this content in such a way that you can plug it in. So like the prompt is the prompt, or the hook is the hook, but you can customize it to fit whoever you're talking to with just a few simple tweaks. And that's what I love about our content, and why I think it's so unexpected, I think, sometimes for agents, because they're expecting like the basic hero content. Where's the just listed template? Where's the just sold template? Where's like the basic, 10 steps to buying a house content? Like, we purposely don't do that because it doesn't position you as the guide. It doesn't position you as the go-to girl that people need.
Exactly. Well, and even as you're talking about examples, I'm thinking, gosh, there's so many different directions you can go with this. And I guess I would say, I mean, we just asked our members the other day, like, how is the market where you're at right now? Like, how are things going? And we had a couple people say, oh my gosh, it's so slow. Nothing is happening. I'm feeling really discouraged. We had other people say like, oh my gosh, multiple offers, way over asking, like all the things. So those 2 different scenarios in 2 different parts of the country that are receiving the same kind of content through Modern Agent, they should not be posting the exact same thing. Like, it would make no sense for them to do that, right? Because both of them have people and their followers that are experiencing different problems. So we have to be really like problem aware the whole time. The other thing I would think about is Okay, so the Modern Agent Content Cocktail is like the filter that we encourage all of our members to use as they are creating content or as they're like fine tuning our content to make sure that they're hitting all the things to make each piece like more bingeable and more fun to consume, right? So the Story Brand book talks about like the Story Brand script, I think they call it, or the brand script. And you can create one for free online. I've done it before. You just like enter your email address, but you get to like, you ask all these questions and you get to really like hone down. Like a lot of times it'll say like, define like 5 problems your customer has. Now cross out 4 of them. Like just pick the one that you're going to really like fine tune. But as you are doing that and getting really clear on your messaging, you're going to be able to look at any piece of content, whether it's a trend that's going around now or whether you're in a membership and you're receiving content. You're going to be able to look at those pieces of content and decide either does this work for me, yes or no, or what can I do to it to make it work better for my audience so that my story is consistent and that people can see themselves in my story. Does that make sense?
Yes, definitely. And here's another example of us being repetitive. How many times have we talked about the content cocktail?
Mm-hmm.
How many times have we said the real estate go-to girl? That is our plan. So like, as we said, it's the person who encounters the problem. They meet a guide. The guide gives them a plan, blah, blah, blah. Like that is the plan, the content formula, the plan of how to show up to get more clients and sell more houses using Instagram. That's the plan.
Yes.
So that's where you can even watch us, copy us, insert your own, and that's how it works. Like you have your thing.
Yeah.
And we still follow prompts. We still follow trends, but only if they make sense for that. And a lot of them don't. What it really does, honestly, is it makes social media a lot easier because you're not always trying to reinvent the wheel of like, oh, I'm going to do this trend and that trend. And this one got so much, like this audio worked for so many people. It worked for who? Like you all have completely different goals and you have completely different ideal clients and completely different characters who are encountering problems. And that's where you need to get really, really clear on like, who is mine and who am I talking to? Because once I start doing it, it's going to be so much more enjoyable for people to consume my content. Like that effect where they get there and they start binging. They're like, okay, yeah, this is so good. I love this.
Yes. And I will say too, I bet a lot of people are listening and thinking to themselves, well, that would kind of work for me, but this isn't this. Or like, basically there's always an exception, right? And I love, there's an example in the book where they talk about one person at like some Story Brand conference was saying, well, my company actually serves so many different types of people. So, they basically paint like these huge buildings, right? But then they also paint like, commercial technology, but then they also help our resident owners like paint their homes or whatever. So when there's so many different examples, he's saying like, how can I come up with one common message that can be repeatable, that's easy for people to remember, and that positions me as like the go-to guy, right? And Donald Miller, he's like, I would just have a website that says we paint all kinds of SHIT. I'm like, that's it. And then you can break down from there, like, here's all the things that we paint, And it's like, oh yeah, like, and everyone in the hall that was listening to him, like all raised their hands, like, yeah, I would understand what he does from that, not from all the other jargon. So I think as we as agents like are so deep in our industry, that we're so like deep in the jargon that we use and the things that we understand, we forget that we have to really keep this simple for people, Now, I am so over, and I'm sorry for everyone that's listening that does this. I am so over the helping you find your dream house in our city. Because what's a dream house? And can people even afford a dream house anymore? I don't know. But like, I think that you can make it that simple. You can make it as simple as helping, let's say like the zip code locals find a place to call home or whatever. And like have that be like your tagline that people remember and like they know exactly what you do from that.
I think that also goes into those like 3 levels of problems to kind of help them work through some different examples of this, because the book talks about an external problem, an internal problem, and a philosophical problem. And I know this probably sounds very like jargony, but like, let's break it down. So most businesses, services, companies focus on the external problem. So the external problem would be, I need a house. You as an agent are trying to talk to people on Instagram, on Facebook who need a house right now. That's a mistake, because the internal problem is the thing that people that's the thing keeping them up at night, the thing that they're thinking about, the actual thoughts going through their brain would be something like, I'm worried I can't afford a house. And that's like what someone is going to be like, if your content more speaks to that problem versus the like, need a house, I'm your girl. Like,
Yeah.
no, I don't need a house. I'm actually over here worried I can't even afford one or afford, like, my family's growing and we are like busting at the seams over here, but interest rates are this and my neighbor only got that and blah, blah, blah. What am I going to do? And then
Mm-hmm.
the philosophical angle is homeownership shouldn't feel so unattainable. So that might be the conversation where you're like in the Facebook group threads of people talking about like, I can't, like, homeownership is so expensive, like blame
Yeah.
this person or that person or whatever. Like, that's like the almost public version of it, I think. But like, no one's over there saying like, I'm just looking for the person who tells me they can buy the house or help me buy the house. Like, it needs to, like, content needs to go deeper, because deeper but clearer at the same time. Deep but clear.
Yeah.
We're on Instagram, we're on social media. It's so competitive for our attention, is what I wanted to say. And when it's competitive, you can't use unclear, generic words like need a house, I'm your girl. And we can't use super deep stuff like here's 300 steps to buying a house and read this guide and you'll have it figured out. Like, we need to be the answer to their problem. And that's where we're the guide. But that can't be, look what I did, look what I did. It needs to be like, hey, are you worried you can't afford a house? Here's what I have told 18 buyers this year who are now happy homeowners or whatever. Like, that's,
Exactly.
I guess, kind of an example.
I love the example in the book where he talks about crossing the creek and how the only way that someone is going to cross a creek is if you put one stone at a time in front of them to step on to cross it. And it's kind of the whole principle of like, people will go where you tell them to go, right? And so, and I'll put the image on the YouTube video, but we created a graphic that just showed like how every single stone, yeah, there it is. Every single stone represents something. So it starts with, for like agents, it starts with like content that is like fun and easy to consume, right? So like personality driven, a bit of that like modern agent cocktail, a little bit of real estate in there, but a lot of personality, all of that. Then the next one would be like thought-provoking content, like something that really like makes your mind shift and like makes you stop and think about like, I never thought about the market that way. But then the next one would be like, I'm going to engage in your stories and I'm going to ask you these questions, or I want you to ask me a question or whatever. And as you're guiding them down this journey where you're eventually getting them on your email list, you're eventually offering a mini consult, all of those things, you're crossing the creek with them and you're helping them, you're guiding them to do that. And they don't even realize that they're doing it. Like, they're just like hooked on your content. They're liking your style. They're enjoying hearing back from you as they message you. They're sharing your content because they think it's fun. But then all of a sudden they're like, well, who else would I think of? Like, I'm going to think of you when it's time for me to buy or sell.
Yes, the creek. Oh my gosh. Like, if you can even print out, like, I will put this graphic, which this will be too late for you to know. Maybe we'll put it in the blog post, which you can find on modernagentsocialclub.com/podcast. But if you like print that out or even just draw on a sticky note some stones crossing a creek and let that be your visual for everything you're doing on Instagram is another stone. So that sometimes when you're doing something that maybe feels like a little bit like, why am I spending my time on this? You're like, it is important. It is contributing to the ultimate goal of building long-term consistent business, because, ultimately you're not selling a $20 t-shirt. You're selling someone's probably biggest investment, and that's a long game. That's not something that like people aren't just walking into a store every day and buying your t-shirts and your candles and your, cute little boutique items. Like, they are moving, and people don't move every day. They move every like 5, 7, 10 plus year. I think it's getting even longer now. But the point is, you're playing the long game. And if you're playing the long game, you need all the stepping stones. You can't expect to post once that you're the girl to help them buy and expect people to be like, yep, like, sign me up. And I think when we talk about too, like, social media can feel sometimes like it's not enough. Like, we need to do more than just be on social media if we want to build like these massive real estate businesses. I want you to remember that social media is a big piece of that puzzle. But if you're not pairing it with other things like having an email list, and you have like these other, like having a website, you have these other places to continuously communicate these messages to go deeper, social media is just it's one place. It's the, I've said this before, Jenna Kutcher always says it's like the meet and greet. It's not meant to be like the end all be all, but if you don't have that, how are you connecting with people in your community? So like think of those, every little thing as a stepping stone. Whenever you share like, here's what my family and I did this weekend in Lake Country, like it's a stepping stone. It's an opportunity to connect, an opportunity to get in front of local people. And that's where you're going to start to see it add up, and it becomes this compound effect that you're going to reap the rewards from quicker than you think, quicker than you would realize. And to kind of pull all this together and like give you something to get started with, I think what I would first and foremost write down or think about, like obviously you can go fill out the brand scripts, but if you can think about a client scenario that you are facing right now, or maybe one that you feel like you face a lot, or like, I'm going to tell the story of my friend. They live on a really small lot. She loves to garden. She's like Martha Stewart. She needs land and she really wants land. But right now she's facing what? Home prices are way higher than when they bought that house. They are facing high interest rates. They are facing lack of options. And her conclusion is like, well, we're going to have to buy like a crappy house on a big piece of land and maybe remodel it, put it on an addition. But she has all these questions swimming in her brain, like, how much is an addition and how am I going to even budget for that if I don't know what the house is and how do I blah, 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 like all these things. And like ultimately what she needs to do is she needs to schedule a mini consult with an agent, and she needs to talk to a lender to figure out their options. Like, do they need to sell to buy new? How much equity is in her house? She can find that out from her agent. Like she needs to just get the ball rolling or she'll never be in that house. Maybe getting there means sacrificing and living in an old farmhouse for 2 years before they can afford an addition. But the point is that your content, if you took that one scenario, you are speaking to several different stakes in her life, like affordability. What about the addition? Like, how do I figure that out? Being in a house they hate or on a piece of property they currently hate. Mortgage rates, everything's so expensive. They're outgrowing their current home. She's overwhelmed. She doesn't know what to do. She has bazillions of questions swimming in her brain every night. Her internal problem is like, oh my gosh, we've outgrown this property and we can't afford what we want. So how can you create content around that over and over and over and make yourself seen as that guide who's going to help her get the ball rolling to get going?
Yeah. And, the problem is agents are going to start this and then a weekend they're going to be like, okay, I already answered that or I already talked about that. But it's like, no, like keep repeating yourself. Keep saying those same messages, those same sound bites. Yes, you can use a different hook. And yes, you can share it as a carousel and then another time as a reel and another time as an email. Please do all of those things. But like keep reiterating that message. Like look at our Instagram, for example, because Chelsea and I have like really tried to fine tune this ourselves with the Modern Agent Social Club account and just saying like, there's a while there where it was like, oh, but also emails, but also local content, but also this, but also that. But the bottom line is most agents who stumble upon us and like could see value in what we have to offer, they're just looking to be the real estate go-to girl. Like they just want to be the agent that people think of in their community when they're looking to buy or sell. Like that's it. So when we started fine-tuning that message and really like crafting that, that's when we really started seeing growth. And that's when we really started seeing like even the membership grow and all of those things because our message got clear. And there are times where like, are we beating a dead horse here? Like, are we like talking about this too much? But like, that's what's resonating. In fact, I literally just got a message from someone the other day saying like, the Modern Agent content cocktail is it. Like that changed it for me. And it's like, gosh, we've been talking about that so much. We feel like people are sick of it. But like, that is life changing. And if we wouldn't have like kept talking about it, we would have done everyone a huge disservice,
I have 2 other places you can look just to kind of round out your research and really do your homework on this to see it happening in real time and how powerful it is. If you look up the account Raising Little Talkers and the account Dietitian with Twins, and I'll link both in the show notes, both of those accounts are so repetitive, but their content looks different, but it's so repetitive. Like you will not miss what they're trying to say. And if you look at their bios, I think Raising Little Talkers says like helping your toddler say more words. And the Dietitian with Twins is, she just changed it. I feel like it says helping 5,000. Never mind. I don't like her bio. The one that I do like is the Balanced Routine. I help women simplify their nutrition and thrive on animal-based foods. So specific. You'll see it throughout her content over and over and over and over.
Yeah.
So that is your homework. Look at all 3 of those, 4 of those, including ours, and watch for the patterns and watch for how they're the guide. And you're going to be the hero if you would do that thing. Like if you get your kid to talk, your toddler to start talking, you're the hero, not them. But they
Right.
helped you get there.
Right. So I feel like this episode was really good, but also usually we give a lot more like specific examples. But we did all of this same discussion with our members where we actually gave a lot of specific examples through book club. But that's what I will just emphasize here too. And I always say this instead of Chelsea because Chelsea won't say it. But like, this is the kind of content that we create for our members in Modern Agent. So if you're listening to this and you're like, this is all so good, but like, I have to sell houses or I have to meet the inspector or I have to do all these things. Like, I don't have time for all of this. We get that. Like, we've been there too before, like as we were like growing our real estate businesses, and we know like it's a lot to think about. And that's why like she and I are so dedicated to like doing the heavy lifting for you and trying to make this as simple as possible. So all of the content that we create for the membership is like very plug and play, and we give like lots of direction, lots of examples, and help people like customize things to make it their own. So if you have been like listening for a while, if you're new here, like don't join yet, just listen. Listen to a few more episodes, get a lot of value from all of this. But if you have been listening for a while and you're like, okay, I'm ready to like make my content look like this. I'm ready to actually see results from social media and sell more houses because of my Instagram account. We would love to have you join the membership. It's a month-to-month commitment. It's like a lot of exciting things are happening. Chelsea and I just planned out all of the summer content, and like it's going to be so awesome. And everything that we do is like tied to results. So we're going to be getting our members results through all of this. So we would really love to have you come check it out and officially join the club.
Well, one good way to say it is if you are looking for a results-driven social media marketing membership plan, etc., that is Modern Agent. We are focused so heavily on the results and getting you to like, what is the point of all of this? Like, why would I post that? Here's why. This is going to do this. That's going to do that. So yeah, we would love to have you join us if this is your vibe. And I will also say, even if you're like, I have so many clients, I'm so busy, I don't need to do this. Like, maybe think about like, what about clients that would make my life less stressful? What about better clients? What about clients where my Instagram answers a lot of these questions for them on the front end so that when we meet, they're like already like, yep, give me the paperwork, I'm signing right now. And not that your life is going to magically turn perfect. We all have, scenarios where we have a red flag client or a not so nice friend or whatever. But overall, it's designed to help you create and build a better business and a legacy for your business.
I love that so much. This was such a great episode. Everyone, if you have not read it yet, please read it. The Story Brand 2.0 book by Donald Miller. It was so good. I hope that you guys geek out over it as much as what Chelsea and I have.
I literally highlighted the entire book. So like as I'm like making like my notes for our thing, I was like, I'm just like rewriting the book on Canva.
Right.
I can't narrow this down.
So much. I love it. Well, that was so great. Thank you so much, Chelsea. Thank you, listeners. And we will... Well, I can't say your line.
Yeah,
oh
what
my
the
gosh.
heck?
Sorry.
Wait, what did Rachel and Phoebe say?
I'm so sorry.
Phoebe's like, you're no ordinary roommate. Or no, Rachel says that.
You've met your match, Rachel Green.
You met your match. We will see you next Tuesday.
Sorry. Bye.
I'm so glad we got to hang out today. If you're as sad as I am that our time is up, I've got good news. There are a couple of different ways we can keep the conversation going.
First, follow us on Instagram at Modern Agent Marketing Girls and introduce yourself in the DMs. Also, we always have a free Modern Agent resource available, so check out today's show notes for the goods.
And finally, hang out with other go-to real estate girls like you and finally create a marketing plan that works when you join Modern Agent Social Club. All the details are in today's notes.
XOXO, the Marketing Girls.